All right, doing my very first Oath of the Gatewatch draft and recording commentary. Hey, okay, so I don't really know anything as far as good draft strategy, except for what I've heard on various podcasts. So let's take a look at our picks here. So I'm looking at Grasp of Darkness as my reserved card, good removal spell. Wandering Fumarole, I would expect to be good. I would expect, let's see, Ruin in the basic land card. Tapped, otherwise your hand. So the cards I'm most interested in are Hedron Crawler, Wandering Fumarole, Grasp of Darkness, and then Vampire Envoy kind of wrecked me at the one sealed event I played. So I'm kind of interested in that card as well. But I think Grasp of Darkness is just clearly the pick for black. 2 black instant -4/-4 is about as good as it gets. So we will take that. So we're not taking this rare. Instead, we're going to look at, so we have seen Oblivion Strike, another black removal spell to go with our Grasp of Darkness. Seems like we can't really go wrong there. Some other choices, Spatial Contortion, another removal spell, Birthing Hulk. When it enters the battlefield, put 2 +1/+1 counters, sacrifice to add a colorless, right, and regenerate for a 5/4. Again, Hedron Crawler looks interesting, but Oblivion Strike solidifies our colors pretty nicely. Okay, so I think sticking with black seems nice. Vampire Envoy has a lot of great synergies. For example, Zulaport Chain Mage would be an excellent synergy for Vampire Envoy. Sit back on defense with a 1/4 flying, tap it for the cohort cost, and gain life and make the opponent lose life. So that's exciting. Immolating Glare is probably stronger than Vampire Envoy, but I'm excited to grab 3 black cards to start out. I like the 5/4 Vigilance Trample. I like Containment, Containment Membrane, but I'll definitely take the Envoy here. Okay, so now that I have the Envoy, I'm looking for life gain synergies. I may be thinking of moving into white. I've passed the one decent white card there, 4th pick, sending a strong signal to my neighbor, but that's okay. But of course, we're not stuck in white. Just looking for synergies when available. Okay, so let's take a look at Sky Scour. I saw this and didn't really look at it last time. Devoid Flying, 1/2, so it's kind of a flying Kozilek's Sentinel. But the 4 toughness was really what made that card so excellent. So I'm not really excited about taking that. If I want to go the Devoid route, I see a Kozilek's Translator, adding some colorless. If I want to go the white-black route, I see an Undo War Cleric. Start putting that together with my Vampire Envoy. If I want to go into a different color entirely, Void Grafter is a strong card. And then for an aggressive deck, I could take the Freerunner. The Goblin Freerunner is probably the strongest card here, but I'm kind of interested in this ally strategy. I think that's probably not a very strong pick, actually. So I really only took that as a sort of a flyer on doing white-black. Now I see 2 nice white cards, I think. So actually that went well, although Blinding Drone also just seems very, very strong. But I'll leave that. I'm gonna stake my claim to white-black after getting wrecked by this cohort strategy. I'm kind of interested to try it out. I think Blinding Drone is probably a better card than Immolating Glare. I'm surprised it's still here, 5th pick. But we're gonna stake our spot in white-black here, and hopefully that pays out. Corpse Churn. So in our colors, Stoneforge Acolyte seems very unplayable. So now, I think I just have to take. Well, I could take the Flame Seeker. Sort of sticking with the out. No, I think Blinding Drone is just pretty much the strongest card. So if we get that, we can't ignore that signal forever. All right. So in terms of black-white, I could take Unnatural Endurance. I like Expedition Raptor, 4 power, 2 of it flying. Some of that power gets haste with support, so works nicely with cards like the two mana and 3 mana cards I have already. If I wanted to go into blue-black instead, Mind Melter is quite strong. And then I would be throwing away just really this 2/2 and being more interested in the Blinding Drone. And actually, Mind Melter is enough better than Raptor. I think Raptor as a 5-drop is probably replaceable. And so now it's starting to look like really blue-black with colorless is just what we want to be doing. Because I think Cultivator Drone is good. Gravity Negator is good. Unfortunately, we're going to get cut a bit on the other side. But you know, you never know, and we're getting a very clear signal from this direction. We'll get it again in pack 3, especially if we're putting in people on our left. I think I don't actually know which is better between Translator and Gravity Negator. Maybe because we have already 2 activations with colorless, we just want the Translator. And maybe we can just accumulate enough advantage, through activations. So wow, I think this containment membrane is going to be decent removal. So pretty glad we moved in on that second Blinding Drone. Obviously, slightly regret not taking the first one. But we have a nice collection of cards here. Grasp, Oblivion Strike, Mind Melter, take a Crab, Cultivator Drone, Blinding Drone. It starts to paint a pretty nice picture. And even Vampire Unvice, I think, is still good enough that even without any synergies, we're still happy to play it. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the Alpha Protector. I don't see any chance that we'll play. So we're gonna see is both of our plans are kind of open here. Less so the white after seeing that Blinding Drone. And now that we have so many blue cards, maybe we should just ship that Protector along as maybe a clearer signal for our neighbor that they might want to take a good white rare if they open it instead of something we'd be interested in. So maybe I actually should have just taken the blue card to make our colors more clear. I think I would do that differently if I had that back. World Breaker. Probably worth a splash, to be honest. This card is insane, and it's a value mythic. So I'm going to grab that, snap that up. We'll see if we get a chance to play it. Maybe we'll wheel this Boneyard. Other than that, we'd be looking at really Containment Membrane or this 2/3 Devoid. Both of those are completely replaceable, so we'll definitely take a flyer on this World Breaker. Just very powerful. And the splash is so easy because it's at 7 mana. The chances we'll have a green by then, assuming we get some kind of fixing, is totally within reason. Okay, so maybe as expected, it seems entirely plausible that our neighbor grabbed something we might have been interested in. I think Hedron Crawler ramps us here. Although we're piled up at 3, so that's a little less exciting. But we can pick up some, and it powers up our Blinding Drone. Dwarrel Avenger and Kozilek Shrieker would be nice grabs as well. Balaf Null starts to make us pretty excited about continuing that green splash. Super powerful card. We have lots of good options though. Spatial Contortion. We're gonna we already have several sources of colorless. Another Cultivator Drone to power out some things. I think Balaf Null, we probably don't need to do that. We may not even need this green plan later, so I think we should just focus on what we're doing now, and so it's between Spatial Contortion and Cultivator Drone. I think Spatial Contortion we can expect to play. We've got Hedron Crawler, Cultivator Drone, and Kozilek's Translator already. We'll keep an eye out for colorless lands. We're doing great on playable, so we'll have room to pick some lands. So I think we'll just go ahead and grab that. And then I think grabbing another Blinding Drone is going to be the play. Again, lots of great picks for us. I think we're kind of in the clear for our deck with our neighbors. You know, that could mean that maybe they know something about the format that we don't. But you know, you can't really ever control for that. Sweep Away, I think, is a solid card. We've got some ally synergies here. This would be actually, you know, I think we're not gonna emphasize these ally synergies. I think we're just gonna play for a solid control deck and maybe try to accumulate some advantage. You know, we don't really have anything powerful going on except for the World Breaker at this point. So you know, once we start to put the pieces together for you know, control deck, we really do have to look for something powerful to do. Maybe Malakir Soothsayer would be that plan. But I think for now, you know, we can just stick to the plan. So Pathfinder, I think, is a reasonable higher drop. We've got a couple ways to ramp it out, get it out early. You know, we could go turn 2 Hedron Crawler, turn 4. Well, yeah, I guess that doesn't ramp us. But you know, turn 3 Cultivator Drone, turn 4 Kozilek's Pathfinder, for example. And then of course we do have to keep looking for ways to generate colorless mana. We still only have 3, and we've planted our flag hard enough that if we don't pick those up, we're really going to suffer. So I'm looking for 7, 8, 9 ways to generate colorless mana by the end of the draft. A colorless land that generates extra colors would be perfect. So here we can, you know, I'm kind of interested in this comparative analysis rather than other sweep away, just because of the amount of control we have with the 2 blinding drones, 2 containment membranes, a sweep away, grasp of darkness, and oblivion strike. You know, playing removal and draw maybe seems more interesting than just another tempo, you know, tempo-based removal spell. That could be wrong, but you know, it's always worth playing the card. You know, obviously the upside here is divination at instant speed, and more likely at sorcery speed, given the surge cost. So I like Crumbling Vestige to start thinking about our colorless and mana fixing. Up to 4 colorless sources. I think there's nothing wrong with grabbing a 3rd containment membrane. I think we can play, you know, plenty of those. Slaughter Drone makes a nice blocker, better than Negate, I think. So we really now, you know, we have defense. We're looking for ways to generate card advantage. We got Mind Melter and comparative analysis, and then our top end is, you know, so we're looking for top end, you know, maybe some early tempo, some card draw. Oh, nice! Can't believe this. You know, obviously I could be, you know, totally wrong on my card evaluations. You know, my prediction that I'm making is that we will not generally see Cultivator Drones that late, because I just feel like it's going to do things like power out 5/5s that are you know, more or less unblockable. Here I think, given the direction my deck is headed, Negate's going to be more interesting. But I'll start with those in the sideboard, put the land over there so I can keep count of my playables. So I can start pulling out cards I'm not expecting to play, maybe Ancient Crab. I'm going to leave this comparative analysis in. I'm just going to have so much mana, the way things are looking, and presumably plenty of control elements, so that I might really be interested in drawing cards at you know, at any cost. So at 20 spells, and you know, looking pretty happy with the you know, the way it's panning out, you know, I can afford to maybe be a little more speculative. So now we're into Battle for Zendikar. I love this. Getting a Bane of Balagat on turn 5 seems totally reasonable and just crushing. So I can't imagine doing anything else with that pick. Um, that's the kind of top end we're looking for. This is Bane of Balagat is really where it's at. Desolation Twin gets more interesting. I think it's actually pretty reasonable. How many ways do I have to accelerate it? I've got Hedron Crawler, 2 Cultivator Drones, and a Kozilek's Translator. I think there's going to be other opportunities, and a Tightening Coils or a Windrider Patrol. Windrider Patrol, I only have Hedron Crawler to really accelerate, so I wouldn't expect to get that early. Although, I have so much removal that maybe a flyer is going to do more for my deck than just another removal spell. And that Scry 2, acts as some pseudo card advantage. Okay. So Benthic Infiltrator seems to be the most interesting card here. Put another blocker down. Let us save our removal for something more interesting. Late in the game, if I have complete lockdown, starts to get in there for damage and mill. And who knows? There might be some synergies later on. Maybe Spell Shrivel is the most interesting card here. I don't anticipate Calastria Nightwatch. There's no synergy with Vampire Envoy. Cloud Manta would be the other card. But I may be interested in sitting back on maybe removal counters and card draw. The more instance you have, the more synergy you have with your instance. Calastria Nightwatch, I think, would be perfectly good. Merc Strider, we're not looking to have any kind of ingest going on. Breaker of Armies is beautiful. That's exactly what I want. I think that lets us take World Breaker out and just focus on. So actually, Myra's Malice. I would almost never think that Myra's Malice would be better than Clutch of Currents. But the way this is shaping up, I actually might take Myra's Malice. I would never make that pick, but the amount of removal I already have is just, the ability to maybe, well, no, Clutch of Currents is just too good. Card is just too good. All right, so ignore what I just said. I'm taking Clutch of Currents. Nullifier is really just a 2/3 flyer. Let's see. So let's actually look at the ways I have to do exile. I've got Benthic Infiltrator, Spell Shrivel, Mind Melter, and Bane of Balagat. So 2/3 flash with a little bit of upside sounds good to me. And nothing I'm interested in here. Strongest card is Courier Griffin. Grab that. Starting to look at cuts I'm going to make. I'm going to take out World Breaker. It's just not worth, my top end got where I wanted. So no reason to, have to splash just, for something that I'm not too excited about anyway. I think at this point I can take out Vampire Envoy. I'll have enough removal to deal with flying attackers. And so yeah, I think that's maybe the weakest thing left. And then we'll need one more cut. I think Imperative Analysis is objectively the worst card remaining. But I actually think, Containment Membrane being so conditional, maybe I think I'd rather have 2 Containment Membranes in a Comparative Analysis. Or, whatever that is, Comparative Analysis. I think this is what I'm looking at right now. As far as 23 versus 22 spells, I have Hedron Crawler and 2 Cultivator Drones to generate some mana. I actually have a fairly low curve until I start, being more interested in the ramp elements. And then I do have the 4 ramp cards, so go ahead and grab Wavering Elemental. I might have to side in some flyers, but I think I'll go with the Pathfinder at 6. I do like the Translator to ramp me into my higher drops. Definitely have enough sideboard going on that I'm gonna have to take a heavy look. And that Tightening Coils just came all the way back, and I'm definitely gonna play it. I've never, that card's always good. So it'll be interesting. Some interesting cuts, to be sure. Maybe Spell Shrivel. I can start without a counterspell in my deck. Or Sweep Away, actually. Maybe Sweep Away. I think Containment Membrane is probably better. I think having Windrider Patrol, Pathfinder, Bane, and Breaker as, solid finishers at 5, 6, 7, 8 makes me, I think I'm happy with that. So I think it's unlikely any of these cards are going to be relevant. I could grab a Dispel to potentially side in. I don't expect to do that. I would probably side in Negate and Spell Shrivel. Let's grab Blighted Step just to maybe take some of the wind out of those life gain decks. So this is a good kind of challenging build where you just have too many great playables. And Cloud Manta and Clash Your Night Watch. So everyone's fighting over something I don't know about because Night Watch just seems like the other deck I was looking at was that black white life gain deck, and probably would have snapped that up. Question is, do I actually ever need the card advantage, or is what I'm doing strong enough that I can just rely on 4 strong finishers to get the advantage that I need? I don't know the answer to that. Yeah. I mean, it's just draw 2 cards. How many instants do I have? I have Spatial Contortion, Grasp of Darkness. I have no, I don't have that. I have Spell Shrivel. I have Ulamog's Nullifier, which makes me want to keep in Spell Shrivel. So, there's some potential to play at instant speed, but I could also just entirely play a tap out strategy, take out most of the weaker instants, bring in Containment Membrane, Wavewing Elemental, Vampire Envoy. So let's look at a couple different builds. So let's see the weaker instants that I was just talking about. Instant speed, Spell Shrivel, maybe Sweep Away becomes less attractive if that's all I have up. They just don't attack, right? So if I play Sweep Away, it's likely that I'll want to play my other instants as well. So these all have synergy with each other. Individually, not very strong cards. Collectively, having several options at instant speed makes them all better. And this is why having Sweep Away. Well, okay. So with 21, I think 23 is fine given I have 3 early ramp cards. The strongest cards left are going to be Vampire Envoy, Wavewing Elemental, maybe Containment Membrane. So that's what that would look like. Oh, I'm one over. Somehow without. So Vampire Envoy or Containment Membrane. I think I'd rather have 2 Containment Membranes and the Envoy. So this deck has plenty of removal still. It's going to be doing some powerful things. It's not going to be drawing cards. So that makes some of those ramp a little bit of a liability. Because then if all I have is ramp spells and removal, that's a losing strategy. Because my opponent will just be playing creatures that can attack. So my removal will match up with 1, but then my ramp will not. On the other hand, there's several solid options there. So that's option 1. Option 2 is maybe Bedthic Infiltrator could come out. Although I do like it for Ulamog's Nullifier. It has the potential. If it gets 1, it's very likely to get 2, and then I can do that. I think I'm drawn to this instant speed plan. Maybe without sweep away, because I'm not actually much of a tempo deck. All right, I'm going to start with this. I could very easily regret it. So we're going to bring in the Crumbling Vestige to generate some colorless, giving us 5 colorless sources. All of which are repeating colorless sources. It's possible that Spatial Contortion, but I just feel like we're going to have a Hedron Crawler or a Cultivator Drone most of the time. Grasp of Darkness is going to require an extra black here, so 8/8 or 9/7 for blue. And given, we want to hit, often Blinding Drone into Cultivator Drone to get an early defensive setup. I think 9/7. Grasp of Darkness, it's okay if we don't have until later in the game, and then one more card is the Crumbling Vestige. Okay, so this is my deck, and see you in round 1.